this time I want y'all to help us do it. Lift your hands in this atmosphere and say, I am grateful.
I am grateful
For the things that you have done. Look at him and tell him, yes, I'm grateful. For the victories that we've won. Tell him I could go on and on. About your works. Because I'm grateful. So grateful just to praise you, Lord. Lift your hands and say, flowing from my heart.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our youth forum for tonight. Our topic of discussion will be faith in vaccine or faith in God. What's your take? I would especially like to welcome those members of the panel from our various churches across the circuit. Today's discussion should be very enlightening, given the current situation that we're in as it relates to the COVID-19 and the drive to have persons vaccinated all over the world. But before we begin tonight's discussion, we will listen to the song, Stayed on Him, followed by a prayer.
There's a world full of mercy and peace, waiting for me. There's a land for the lost and the least, where they dine with the King, waiting for me. Yeah, His holiness fills up the temple. Still He took my sin and my shame. I didn't deserve to be rescued. Still He has called me by name. I'll stand firm with confidence till He comes again. Till He comes again. I'll keep my mind stay on Him to the very end, to the very end. Yeah, stay on Him, 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 yeah, stay on Him, stay on Him. There's a Savior with wounds you can see, in His hands and His feet, waiting for me. Yeah, there's a place where His glory is seen. It's beyond my wildest dreams, waiting for me. I'll stand firm with confidence till He comes again, till He comes again. I'll keep my mind stayed on Him to the very end, to the very end. Stay on Him, stay on Him, yeah. Stay on Him, stay on Him, oh. Stay on Him, stay on Him, yeah. stay on Him. I know You're the God who reigns. I know You're the God who saves. I know that You walk on waves. I know that You never change. I know You're the God who reigns. I know You're the God who saves. Yes, You walk on waves. I know. Won't you stay, won't you stay, won't you stay on my mind? Oh, da, 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 yeah. Stay, yeah. I know I will keep my mind. Yeah, I know I will keep my mind. Yeah, I know I will keep my mind. Yeah, I know.
Let us pray. Dear most righteous and eternal God, we thank You for bringing us here another evening, a day where we can gather to discuss topics that affect us as youths and young people. We thank You for bringing us here safely. We bow before You to give You praise and thanks for all You have been doing in our lives and will continue to do. We come asking You for Your continued blessings, that You will be with us wherever we are. Lord, please guide our thoughts and give us clarity as we explore this topic. And may the thoughts and reflections of our minds be acceptable in Your sight. We ask this and other mercies in Your name we pray. Amen. Good evening again, everyone, and welcome to our Youth Forum. My name is Carolyn Irvin, and I will be your moderator for tonight's session. I am in no way a professional with this topic, and neither are the members of the panel. However, we will do our best to bring across the points in the clearest way possible. As mentioned before, the topic is faith in vaccine or faith in God. What's your take? Welcome to those on YouTube. Feel free to interact with us by leaving a comment in the chat. But before we go any further, our panelists will now introduce themselves. We will begin with Jordan Levy.
Good night, everyone. My name is Jordan Levy, and I'm from the Exchange Baptist Church.
Good night, everyone. My name is Demario Tudor, and I am from the Exchange Baptist Church.
Good night, everyone. My name is Antoine Cunningham, and I'm from the Pariton Baptist Church.
Good night, everyone. My name is Graham Kluge, and I'm from the Otrus Baptist Church.
Thank you, panelists, for introducing yourselves. What is your take on tonight's topic? I would like to hear from you. During this time, we are focused on vaccine developed for COVID-19, but there are many other vaccines that were developed to treat with other illnesses. For this discussion, the panelists will give their view. However, this discussion may not justify your own personal belief, but it will help us to understand what our youths are thinking at this time. So we will go right into our discussion. So, my first question to you. Tell me, what do you know about vaccines? How are they created? Anyone would like to take the floor?
mRNA vaccines contain material from the virus that causes COVID-19 that gives our cells instructions for how to make a harmless protein that is unique to the virus. After our cells make copies of the protein, they destroy the genetic material from the vaccine. Our bodies recognize that the protein should not be there and build T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes that will remember how to fight the virus that causes COVID-19 if we are infected in the future.
All right, so there we have a scientific definition of what a vaccine is. So simply put, we know that a vaccination is something that basically protects us. It protects our body against harmful diseases, right? So it should work. So once they come in contact with your body, they should fight that particular disease, all right? So it uses your body as a natural defense to build resistance to specific infections and makes your body immune system stronger. So that's basically what a vaccine does, all right? So God designed our body in a particular way for it to basically give that effect, right? So when they give us a vaccine, our body should react in a certain way, and that is how God designed our body to work, all right? So why should we take vaccines? Anyone want to take that question?
All right, so why should we take vaccines? Well, first off, vaccines are created for prevention against illnesses. So if you have a certain illness and you want to be cured, or you want to prevent it from getting worse or anything, there are different vaccines out there that you can take to help you. So I think that vaccines should be taken to help in the prevention and cure of any illness there is.
Anyone else?
I agree, because example, you have a sickness and it's really bad. Taking the vaccine can lower down the risk of it maybe can kill you or anything. The vaccine may lower the risk of death or any other particular thing.
Right, so the vaccine is like a preventative measure that we take. So we don't wait until we get it to take the vaccine. We take the vaccine before, so that we can prevent it from affecting our body. As you say, we could prevent deaths or some serious illnesses that may come with that. And as we're aware, with COVID-19 now, we have seen the effects of COVID-19. So when this virus came about in late 2019, no one knew much about it. And over time, persons developed what they would say is a vaccine to assist us. So now that is now the hot topic of the day. There's a number of vaccines out there now to assist with COVID-19. So, as Christians, should we be vaccinated or should we oppose to this vaccination?
I think Christians should be vaccinated, because vaccination has nothing to prevent you from having faith in God.
Okay, anyone else?
Yes. I think that Christians should be vaccinated. Vaccination has nothing to do with your belief or faith in God. I don't think it has anything to do with that. So being a Christian should not prevent you from being vaccinated. It's not like you're committing a sin if you should take a vaccination or anything like that. So I don't see why Christians should not be vaccinated.
Well, personally, I think it's up to the person to choose whether or not they should be vaccinated, because it's their body and it's their choice. But yes, the vaccine does help us, but in the end, the Bible doesn't tell us anything about vaccine. As Christians, we should be able to tell whether things are right or wrong. We don't have to be running to the Bible for every little thing, because God never, God, God never constructed our whole life, because in Christianity there is freedom, and in freedom we have choices that we can make, whether right or wrong. In the end of the day, we would know whether they are right or wrong as Christians.
Right. So basically, we should have that knowledge as just say a general human being then to say, okay, this is good for us or it's not good for us. As you said, it's a choice. So it's not necessarily a case where you have to take it. But look at what we're saying now with COVID-19, Graham. They're saying that in order for us to get back to the norm, basically there's a push for us to take this COVID-19 vaccine. So what is your take on that?
Well, basically, yes, they came up with the COVID vaccine. However, in my belief, I don't really think being able to push this will take us back to the norm. After all of this, there's no such thing as normal. Our lives all have been changed, but however, I don't think the vaccine will be able to be 100% effective for us to be able to go back to the norm. As Christians, you're talking about faith in vaccine. Well, however, we shouldn't be putting our faith in vaccine. That is man-made. Why are we putting faith in man-made stuff? And later when they fail, what we're going to say? It's because of the vaccine. And we're going to switch our tongue. But however, our faith in God, because God is never failing, His love is unfailing. He knows what's right for us. And He always comes out in the end. But the vaccine, we don't know what comes out in the end. It's a man-made thing. Yes, the vaccine will help, but to what extent will it help us?
All right, so to what extent it will help? I mean, we probably don't have the answer now, but let's say we wait another year or so, we may see the effect of it. But let's put a twist on it. So we're saying that we should have faith in God, but who made us as humans to develop vaccines? Anyone want to look on the scientific thing of vaccines? What you think happens to develop these vaccines? No one? So we know that these things are done by scientists. So they would have had the knowledge from whatever they would have studied in school. And they would have said, okay, I think if we put A and B together, this will help us in whatever way, right? They are humans. But don't you think that these human beings are also Christians and God would have given them the knowledge to develop a vaccine to assist us in this situation? Or do you think that this is just a show of what is happening for us to take a vaccine so we believe that things would go back to normal? Because you said that you don't really think things will go back to normal. Things have already changed, yes. But don't you think we'll have that freedom where we can now interact with persons without even, say, wearing a mask or social distancing? Do we believe that that will come back with the use of this particular vaccine?
Well, here's the thing. The first thing you said was basically saying that Christians making the vaccine. Here is the problem with the statement that you said, what the problem I have with it. Here's the thing. First of all, if Christians were able to make a vaccine, we're all human beings. None of us is 100% perfect. And yet the vaccine can still be going through trials and errors. Because some people right now, maybe they're suffering from the vaccine. Maybe they have underlying problems because of the vaccine. But however, as Christians, we shouldn't be going around saying that, yes, God made this vaccine. God never touched that vaccine. In the Bible, I don't see anywhere in the Bible where it said God will create a vaccine for humankind. God said that He will carry with pandemics, earthquakes, and all those stuff. He never said He would come up with a solution for them. He said that He would take us, create a new world for us to live in. He never said He'd come up with a solution. Although He said that we'll be able to social interaction and those stuff. Well, basically, teenagers nowadays, I don't think we can go back to saying we can't go back to the norm, because we have been inside too long and yet our social skills has been going down. Right now, I don't feel like any social interaction will help me. But yes, we need some form of social interaction in our life, but I don't think 100% this vaccine will be able to bring back what we missed in the past years. That's basically my take on it.
All right, Jody, you wanted to say something?
Yes, could you repeat the question that you asked again, please?
So I was asking, Do you believe that when this is created, say it was created by a Christian then, this vaccine, do you see us going back to the norm? Do you see us interacting how we used to interact before?
Well, this is our new normal. So, I don't think the way that we used to interact with each other, like being close, maybe giving a hug, or being able to interact without being feet apart. I don't think we will go back to that because the vaccine does not protect us 100%. It only lessens the effect that it will have on our bodies. So if we were going to die and we took the vaccine, it's a possibility that because we took the vaccine, we won't die. So I don't think that we'll ever go back to normal. Yes, we need socialization because we were created as social beings, but I think this is our new normal, so we just have to adapt and get with it.
Right. As Graham said, he mentioned that God basically said he would bring us through different situations in life, various struggles, and not necessarily creating a vaccine. But what if the vaccine is something that God wanted to be created? You know what I mean? It could be the solution to this, It may not be the ones that are out there now, but probably with further developments. Because take, for instance, I believe you have vaccines out there that work almost 100%. And what if over time COVID-19 vaccines become that thing where, okay, if I get the vaccine, I know that I won't catch it. Or if I catch it, no effects. You won't cough, you won't sneeze, you won't feel any pain. You understand? So do we want to say, all right, are we saying no faith in the vaccine? Is that what you're saying, Graham? We shouldn't have any faith in the vaccine?
Yes, that's what I'm basically saying. You're saying that if they said that God was intended to create the vaccine. Well, here's the problem, but here's the thing. Whatever God will do, whatever God has done, and whatever God is doing is recorded in the Bible. He has made statements before saying that we will suffer. As humankind, me, as my view, we are very, 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 very horrible creatures. We sin and we stray from God. We do all kinds of stuff. In Genesis, when God was talking about humankind, he said he looked down on us with regret, making us, because the devil is there and we are obliged to sin, like sin is something that is within our system. But from what my point of view is basically why would God want us why would God create a vaccine? Because he said in the end times he would carry about different stuff. You see, earthquakes are happening more frequently, pandemic, the vaccine, you see the COVID-19 is evolving more and more each day. You see other things that are happening, people going famine and those stuff, and yet we're saying that God will deliver us from all of this, but God never said he would deliver us. He never stated that he would deliver us. He stated that he would come back again and carry about judgment. And yes, I see the judgment day coming, but look, nowadays people running to God now praying about vaccine and these stuff. But before of the COVID-19, where were they praying? What were they doing? What were they doing? Simply, they're running to God now because they're seeing that the end times are coming. Why weren't you running to God before? As humans, we don't see important stuff. We just see what we want to see. And basically, when we're in the hot seat now, when we have a fear of burning in hell, we go and seek redemption. But you see how God is generous to us. His love is unfailing. He delivers us from all our sins. And yes, we have a chance to go to heaven because of this. That's what I'm saying.
All right, I hear you, Graham. And that is really at the view that as Christians, we should have that particular view. Some persons probably won't agree with all the points you have raised, but we should really trust God to bring us through whatever situation we're in, right? And just as I put the spin on it before, some persons would say, okay, God gave man the knowledge to create the vaccine. So Graham is not in total agreement with us depending on a vaccine through this pandemic. So my view is that he's saying, over time, we will get past this, basically. God will pull us through the situation and things will somewhat get back to whatever normal it may be. Might not be the normal we were used to prior to 2020, but some form of normality may return. All right, so let me hear from the other panelists. Are you in agreement with this vaccine? What is your take? Antoine, what do you have to say?
Miss, you wouldn't put like 100% faith in the vaccine. So my thought is that you would put a lot more faith in God than the vaccine.
A comment from YouTube. Good evening, brethren. There are people who are immune naturally and don't necessarily need to be vaccinated. There should be other options that should be explored to fight the virus. I have been to supermarkets where there was no social distances, and when you're at the airport, they encourage social distances. Yet, in the airplane, it is not exercised. It is just formalities.
Yes, and that is a real life situation. We see that every day. You go some places, you're seeing social distancing. You go to a next place. So, for example, you might be in a taxi. You're even closer than if you're at home sitting beside your parents, because you're basically skin to skin with someone in a taxi. And as the person says, our bodies were basically developed to fight diseases when they come into our body. So our immune system should work to a particular extent. God gave us that so that we can fight off these diseases. So really and truly, other ways should be explored. And I really like that comment. Other ways, instead of forcing a vaccine, other ways should be explored to combat this COVID-19.
I think you asked Graham the question if he's saying that he doesn't have faith in the vaccine. I personally have faith in it because, let's take for example, we have cancer, right? And we have to go and do chemo probably once every 2 weeks or once a week. We have to go and do chemo. That is the cure for that is helping the cancer, right? It's the same thing with the vaccine. So we take the vaccine in order to not prevent the COVID, but to help us fight it then. If we should get it, it won't have that severe effect on us as it would if we did not take it.
Right, so as you mentioned, any other illness, there might be other ways. It might not necessarily be a vaccine that is used to cure or treat that particular sickness that someone might have. So here you have Jody here saying she has faith in this COVID vaccine. What is your take, Demario?
I personally believe that having faith in the vaccine is having faith in God, as even the very components found on Earth, which were used to engineer not only the current vaccine, but also previous vaccines and treatments for the various viruses and diseases, were created by God to help us fight these illnesses.
All right, so these viruses are out there, so basically we need to find something to help with it, right? And vaccine is one of those ways in which we can actually fight this particular thing. All right, that's good. I like where this discussion is going. So as we're saying, so all right, it's okay to take the vaccine for some, not so okay to take it. But outside of that now, whether you believe that the vaccine was created to help or not, do you believe it is actually working? Based on what you would have seen or heard thus far, do you believe the vaccine is working now? And You know, have you heard anyone, whether the person is a Christian or not, what are they saying about this vaccine?
Well, basically, in my opinion, the vaccine is working for some people because they have the vaccine and they're able to keep safe because they're always wearing their mask and sanitizing. But I really want to go back to what Marcus said before about saying having faith in vaccines is the same thing as having faith in God. That really annoys me, basically, because we're mixing up stuff with God that aren't supposed to be mixed up. Having faith, first of all, when you have your faith in God, you're supposed to depend on God. When you put your faith in something, that's like saying you're trusting it. But yet, when it fails in the end, are you still going to say it have faith? And when you take the vaccine and now you're on your deathbed because of the same vaccine, are you still going to say you have faith in it? When you tell people that God created the vaccine and later on they have underlying issues, are you still going to say that God created the vaccine? Are you still going to say it's by God's will you're dying right now? Are you going to tell their family members that? Because basically that's saying like God intended for the person to die. Well, for me, if I were to die anytime, because basically by God's hand, anything, I would simply say that God is ready for me. But are you really going to tell people to take the vaccine and then later when they have underlying issues, it's saying because of God? They're going to say it's because of God, and that's now pulling people away from God instead of pulling them to God. That's simply what I'm saying.
A comment from YouTube says, God don't need a vaccine to cure a sickness.
Indeed, because God is our healer, right? So a vaccine is not necessarily. So you see, we have all these views. So persons, you'll have on one hand where persons believe that a vaccine was created through God, so to speak, and some will say, we don't need this vaccine, God will deliver us, because as we said before, he created our bodies to do certain things, it should fight certain things. But let's go back to when we were younger. I'll get to you, Julius. You want to say something. Let's say we get back to when we were younger. And as children, we were given some vaccines. We don't really have a choice. And our parents would have said, all right, I'm going to bring my baby to the 3-month clinic for her to get, or for him to get vaccinated against maybe mumps, rubella, those things that as children or babies, we don't have a choice. But these vaccines were developed. How would you look on those particular types of vaccines that you don't have a choice in, but they were given to you? Are they actually working in your body now, or should we have bypassed them and just live because we're saying God is our healer? What is your view on that?
Well, as you said, we didn't really have a choice as babies, but I think that those vaccines work because it would have prevented us from catching whatever virus that we were getting the vaccine from. And I think that when you are given a vaccine, so a little bit of the virus is in the vaccine. So it's already, so if you are taking a vaccine against shingles would already been in the vaccine to help your body to fight it when it's given to you. So therefore, yes, I think the vaccines do work. And it's not necessarily that you're going to take your faith totally out of God and just put it in the vaccine alone, but you're going to, as Christians, we're called to be wise. We're called to use wisdom in whatever thing that we do. And as I said before, if we're sick and we want a cure for that sickness, we are going to go for that sickness. We don't want to die before, it's time for us to go home and be with the Lord. But so if there is a cure for something, or a prevention, or something that can help you to not be as severe as it would if you did not take it, then why not go for it?
I agree too, because the COVID-19 vaccine may prevent you from catching the COVID. You can catch it, but you may have a fighting chance. And supposed to be you have a sickness and you don't have faith in vaccines, and there's a vaccine to cure that sickness. it would be wise to take it.
Right. So we would want to take something. Give me a minute, Graham. We would want to say, let me take something in my body. And it might not necessarily be a vaccine. Even though we're talking about faith in vaccine, it could simply be a cold medicine because you know you're not feeling well, or a pill or something. So we are not necessarily saying that we're going to lose faith or trust in God, right? We are trusting Him to bring us through. And as humans, we are saying, all right, maybe the vaccine is the way out. While some might be saying, no, it's not the way out. We will get over this. Maybe it's a sham. Maybe persons are making up this whole COVID thing to scare us, or for some persons to make millions or billions of dollars out of, out of the world, because these pharmaceutical companies are making monies beyond what we can sit in here and count. So there's so many things we can look at with this. And we don't want to say that God is not in it when there's a possibility that He's in it. But in what form? It might not be the form that we are really preaching to say, all right, the vaccine make, but we take it so we can go back to norm. Probably that is not the way He invented it to be. Probably He's saying, okay, when we get this vaccine, it will gradually help us, and some persons might say the vaccine, maybe I gotta talk to me, so I gotta take the vaccine because I dismiss it as the cure, because as humans we want to be better, we don't want to be sick, we want to be healthy, so when things come our way, we try and take it so that we're not in that situation where if anything should happen, the next thoughts in your mind will be, I got dead now because I never take the vaccine. However, Graham did say, maybe if you do take the vaccine, if you have underlying sicknesses, you could also die. So there are so many things, and it's just it's what you read, what you see, what you hear. It's for you to understand, you understand? And we never want to leave God out of a particular situation. We should always trust Him, irrespective of what your view is on a particular topic. Let me hear what Graham have to say now.
Well, basically, it seems that people are taking me wrong over this topic. Basically, I'm not saying to not take the vaccine, or that you need faith in order to take the vaccine. I'm saying that putting your faith in this vaccine is like putting your hope so that this will 100% work on you. But when you catch COVID and die, what's going to happen? You're going to blame it on your faith. That's what I'm saying, because we talking about faith. Christians, our faith should be towards God 100%. Every day, waking up, praying, focusing on God. What's on our mind? God, number one. God, listening to music. God is in it. Every single thing, because what influences us in this world, it has to influence us towards God, not away from Him. Because basically saying, putting your faith in the vaccine, you're going to end up going back and saying it's because of the vaccine.
Yes, and I do believe God should be number one in everything, right? So before we even run to vaccine A or vaccine B or option 1 or option 2, God should be the person we go to. We need, as Christians, we need to, I think sometimes we may be taking this situation a little too slight, If we're a praying nation or praying Christians, we should be praying for God to deliver us from this particular pandemic that we're in. So yes, the vaccine, but God should be number one. And I do agree with you, Graham. So at the end of the day, it's not about, is the vaccine messy and is the vaccine I want. Trust God, have faith in God, and hope that He will bring us through what we are going through.
I understand what he's saying. Example, suppose someone in your family has got fully vaccinated and caught COVID and he or she died. That would draw you away from the vaccine.
Yes, so you would lose some faith in that particular vaccine, or even as Graham would have said, the person is a Christian, they took the vaccine, your faith in God would have gone down a bit because you say, see them, I trust in the vaccine, I trust God for bring the person through, and look what happened, right? But in all things, we don't question God. things happen for a reason and happen how they're happening. I mean, we would all be saying, look how much people died from COVID. This could never be God, you know? And persons would have lost faith because of this, because they're saying, I'm here with my grandmother. She not even gonna wear no. And I brought the COVID in here. Me there strong see me and look how she pass on. Me now go back to church. Me think I eat this now. And you know those are the things. And we don't want our faith to fall because we don't think God is working. We should always believe that God is working through whatever situation that we're in. And yes, we want something to help us. We want something to help us, and we should trust God to help us. All right? Yes, Anelia.
A comment from Sister Cato. Vaccines are good because our human race benefited from it over the years, but no one should be forced to take it. I believe that we ought to trust God in order to trust man. People become suspicious due to what happened in the past, where races were being wiped out by the powers that be. We need to educate our people rather than imposing a mandate.
Yes, that is a very valid point. We really should be doing that. I don't know if you realize, even now in the private sector, we see where persons are saying the staff by X time they should be vaccinated. If they're not vaccinated, they have to take the test every week or every 2 weeks to say that they don't have COVID. But yet on the flip side, we're saying that the vaccine don't stop you from catch COVID. So if you have the vaccine and you catch COVID and you bring it to the workplace, same way, other persons can still be infected, right? So what is it that we're really saying? So in some cases, persons are hesitant in taking the vaccine, but why do we think persons are hesitant? Anyone?
Maybe some persons are hesitant because they have seen people that have took the vaccine and they have still died from COVID-19.
Okay.
I think that it is because of the myths on social media.
Myths on social media. What are some of those myths that you hear on social media?
Like the vaccine contains a microchip, it will make you become magnetic, I think.
Yes, and some people saying it's the mark of the beast.
Exactly.
There's so many things out there. Sometimes I have to wonder when we sit down what we really think about. You know, sometimes we're so negative towards it instead of trying to find the positive in something that exists. And social media is such a great influence on us. Believe you me, majority of us, before we try to find the truth in something, we listen to what social media has to say, and then it deters us. So there we go. What about you, Jodian? Why do you think persons are hesitant in taking this vaccine?
Because it doesn't protect us 100%. So because it is said that the vaccine doesn't 100% protect you, a lot of persons are saying if it don't protect you 100%, what's the sense in taking it? So because of that, they become hesitant. Also, for young people, young females, there is a myth that if a young female take it after taking the vaccine, she won't be able to have kids. So they believe that myth, so they're hesitant from not taking it.
Right, and as Sister Kate would have said, probably it's something that they're probably using to wipe out part of the generation, little by little. But some persons may say too, I believe my body can do the job because if I catch a flu or something of that nature, my body works, so we're depending on what God designed our bodies to do. So some persons will say, I'm not going to take it because I know that if I catch COVID, my body will fight it. Because a lot of persons, you would have known that many persons would have caught COVID and showed no signs, and their body would have fought that particular, right?
They're asymptomatic.
Asymptomatic. Right. Mm-hmm. And therefore, some persons say, well, me probably catch it already, but I didn't get the extreme illnesses with it. Also, I think one of the reasons too could be, because it's so rushed. We would have seen where vaccines over the year would have taken years to be developed for a particular illness. And this vaccine just appear within a couple of months, and so many persons develop vaccine, and this particular tests and trials that they have to go through, you know, I don't think if enough is done to justify. Some person say, I'll give it time for it to work. You agree?
Pandemic, people were saying COVID is an incurable disease. If you catch it, you're dead. Simple. But yes, that's what I'm saying. Basically, that's one of the reasons why people are taking it. And yet, they keep tying the vaccine with the Bible, saying the 666 and those stuff. When basically God said in the Bible, the end time, when the end times are coming, every person will